Trump announces a DC security lockdown. Call it whatever you want. It makes no difference because now escorts are required as his executive branch reels from an insider attack, a scale and method unlike anything we've seen. And I'm going to bring you the entire story here in just 1 minute. Trump making many major moves. We've tried to cover all of them for you, but it continues to expand. And why is it expanding is the true question, as DC is now on lockout mode. There is no need for Joe Biden to continue to receive access to classified information. Old story. We've heard this before from Donald J. Trump. February 7th of 2025, we are immediately revoking Joe Biden's security clearances. We also know Secretary Pete Hegseth going after my least favorite general, pulling his security detail. We've heard about Letitia James. We've heard about Alvin Bragg. We've heard, the story that's now brewing about Antony Blinken. Security clearances revoked. But let's make it official, shall we? Rescinding security clearances and access to classified information from specified individuals. March 22nd, 2025. So I guess now it's official, huh? Antony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Lisa Monaco, Mark Zed, Norman Eisen, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Andrew Wiseman, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Cheney, Kamala Harris, Adam Kinzinger, Fiona Hill, Alexander Vindman, Joseph R. Biden Jr., and any other member of Joseph R. Biden Jr.'s family. But he didn't stop there. I also direct all executive department and agencies heads to revoke unescorted access to secure United States government facilities from these individuals. The question should be, why? Don't go off of mainstream headlines now. Dig deeper. It's important we dig deeper on this story because you have to watch what's happening around Trump. You have to watch what's happening in Ukraine. You have to hear what's happening in Russia. You have to know the man on your screen out of Germany, who serves as one of the greatest examples to a governance system that is irate at President Trump right now. I'll explain the facets of what this governance system, this belief system, and why the United States is going to be potentially removed from the list of those who enjoy a government style they like to call democracy. The word I deplore. To me, I don't view that as a bad thing at all. And that's the story we're going to develop even further. And now, before we go any further, if you think you're subscribed to Lisa's channel, double check. If you're new here, we'd love you to subscribe. She'll also throw a link up to my channel. I'd love you to subscribe there. You never know where we'll both appear. If you ever want a little bit more personal side of us, you're more than welcome to go to my Facebook page at Justice Knight. JUSTUSKNIGHD. You'll get a little bit more personal side of a vacation we just got back from. Of course, first thing we do 3 hours upon landing is jump back in the microphone. And the reason we're able to continue to do this is because sponsors like Noble Gold. Have you been to lisahavengold.com yet? If you haven't, I'd love you to support Noble Gold Investments. Because if your portfolio is over $250,000 and you aren't hedged, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb. Markets are at all-time highs, but history shows what comes next: volatility and increased risk. But you have a great partner here to help see you through that. A 10% allocation in gold, only 10% in silver can help hedge uncertainty and protect your wealth. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy to hedge your portfolio with institutional-grade gold and silver. Right now, every qualified investment will receive a free 10th ounce gold coin. You see it there on your screen. Protect your portfolio today. Make sure you visit lisahavengold.com or simply call 877-646-5347. Tell them Lisa sent you. Tell them Justice sent you. And remember, there is always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. But Noble Gold Investments has been a part of our family for a very long time. And for that, we'd love you to support them. Again, go to lisahavengold.com right now. We'd love you to be there. But now let's get back to this video. So who is this crazy-looking little megalomaniac right here? Oh, he's the man who's gaining power in Germany. The Führer of Germany, one article states, voice from Russia. Friedrich Merz is a war and spending. He's on a war and spending frenzy. How much? $1.7 trillion. Washington Times posting this. Germany's likely next leader wins parliament's backing for huge defense and infrastructure spending. Who are they fighting against? Say it with me. Russia, Russia, Russia. The narrative that continues on, huh? It will start to explain all the moves that Trump is making, why he's blocking security clearances, why he's pulling security clearances, why he's asking for escorts in government buildings, because somehow all these people seem to continue to get information, not only the mainstream media, but it appears, well, just from an outsider's perspective, of course, a lot of countries who don't like the United States very much. What did Merz say? Whatever it takes must also go for our defensives now. It's a war against Europe and not just a war against Ukraine's territorial integrity. Of course, Ukraine always center focus, but how's Germany going to afford it? It's only $1.7 trillion in additional debt to them, right? As of June 30th, Germany's federal debt amounted to $1.62 trillion. So let's just double it. Let's put it on the scale of Greece's deficit. But you see, they don't care about debt. The United States didn't care about debt because if you don't care about debt, then you're subservient to everyone. And it's what Trump is fighting against. Of course, we still have Macron out there, don't we? Still threatening his nuclear deterrent, isn't he? What are these guys pushing for? Is there only chance for survival to initiate war? It's got to be a question asked right now. We're going to upgrade another base in an unprecedented way and regain its full role in France's nuclear deterrent, he said. A massive investment. Well, where's all the money coming from? Who's backing the money? And what are you doing in your country? I guess, though, just like here for 4 prior years, we the people really don't matter, do we? Not our freedoms, not our liberties, because you're going to try to offset over 4,299 nuclear warheads. Is this really a battle anybody wants to get into, or is it simply more saber rattling to initiate a larger conflict? Germany adds to it even further, saying the quiet part out loud. Outrage after German intelligence chief says Ukraine war should keep going for another 5 years. See, there was no intent to ever end this conflict. The only ones attempting to end the conflict right now, well, the only one would be President Donald J. Trump, because he knows what the outcome of any war would be. And now he's talking to King. Wow, there's a lot of side stories going on now, isn't there? But we know we must be heading in the right direction. U.S. could lose democracy status as global watchdog. Anytime they put the word global in it, of course, your radar flag should go up immediately. They put out a huge report here, and they said, by the way, in the next report, the U.S. may be off the list. In the last few days alone, Trump has smashed past several new milestones. He just called his predecessor's pardons void and vacated. He gave a bitterly partisan speech at the Department of Justice demanding the prosecution of the media and certain adversaries. He threatened numerous universities with sanctions. He invoked a 227-year-old war measure, and that brings us full circle. That statement right there brings us full circle to the insider attack. War measure law during peacetime, for the first time ever, to deport accused gang members without due process, and most importantly, when that deportation plan wound up in court, he may have, although it's still in dispute, defied a court order cracking the ultimate constitutional safeguard. You see what they're doing here. Nobody wants any change. They want these criminals to remain here. They want these non-citizens to remain here. But why? How does that benefit the great republic of the United States of America, the constitutional republic of the United States of America? I don't care if I'm on your democracy report, frankly. Like Erdogan, Orban, Modi, only faster. You see the parallels they draw there. So far, anything that I've read to you bother you on the last 2 screens? Doesn't bother me. It's the pace, Lindbergh said. He's trying to do in a few months what it took them 8 to 10 years to achieve. It's very dire because he's so effective, isn't he? Because he has a mandate from we, the people. They tend to forget that, though, because we elected President Trump into office. But the people fighting him, many of them we did not elect. Well, most are. If it continues like this, the United States will not score as a democracy when we release the next data set. Great, because I don't want to be under your definition of your democracy. Because you see, your definition of democracy departs from what the true definition of democracy should be, in my humble opinion. No, you like to speak about autocrats and dictators, but yet your definition of democracy in itself is the same, which means the people will have no voice, even though you say they do. But yet you censor them, you silence them, you shut them down, and we're finding out more and more every day. You've done everything to steer the narrative towards your agenda, which to me, under the true definition of democracy, wouldn't be accurate. But you see, you use it as this umbrella, and people just consume it. Well, you don't, because you're here watching this broadcast, and for that, we can't thank you enough. PJ Media. Governance by 677 Gavels. Love that title. What's the difference between a federal judge, a federal district judge, and God? God doesn't think he's a federal district judge, but they certainly think they are, aren't they? Or as Winston Churchill once said, there, but for the grace of God, goes God. Imagine the hubris and limitless ego needed for an unelected jurist, unelected, to don a black robe and assume the power of commandeering the national security apparatus. But is that not what is happening right now in the background? We wonder why now escorts are required. Security clearances are being revoked. As the executive branch falls under attack, unlike anything we've seen. Now, if this was the other side and these were Trump-appointed judges, what do you think the left would have said about it? What do you think the mainstream media would be screaming right now? Not only seizing control of the national security apparatus and telling an aircraft full of dangerous foreign terrorists, deemed terrorists by the Trump administration, to turn around and return back to America. The Commissar Boasberg, I love that, get his black robe from Hogwarts, so if it was only so humorous. Judge blocks Trump EPA from terminating how many stories have we seen? $14 billion in Green Bank. Or judge blocks Trump Musk from dismantling USAID and blow to crown jewel of Doge cuts. But you see, they're seizing control of all the appointments, aren't they? Everything that makes a difference to we the people, everything we voted in and mandated, a mandate for change. But the judges are securing, well, what kind of control is it, in your opinion? Put it in the comments. The logistics challenge of what to do with 677 otherwise idle federal district commissars have been solved by dispersing them like the witches flying monkeys. Man, I love how this is written. Throughout the executive branch leaves only one remaining problem. No one elected these judges. They are not answerable to the American people, whom they hold in less esteem than foreigners with a knack for assaulting and murdering the innocent. As Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller wrote, currently, district court judges have assumed the mantle of Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, Secretary of Homeland Security, and Commander-in-Chief. Have they not? Do you agree with that? I want to see it in the comments because I need to know people are seeing exactly what is happening here today. The nation arises to see what the craziest unelected local federal judges has decided the policies of the government of the United States shall be. It is madness. It's lunacy. It is the gravest assault on, the word they so use, democracy in its correct form. It must and will end. But do you truly believe it will end? Do you believe it will be put in check? Because you are what makes the difference. This was an easy example. The Alien and Seditions Act of 1798. Whenever there shall be a declared war between the United States and any foreign government, or any invasion or predatory incursion shall be perpetrated, attempted, or threatened against the territory of the United States by any foreign nation or government, as the President of the United States shall make public proclamation of the events, all natives, citizens, or subjects of a hostile nation or government being male of the age of 14 years old and upwards who shall be in the United States and not actually naturalized, very important, you read this and understand what the wording of it was, shall be liable to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies. Public proclamation, no justice. Right there. Your public proclamation. As I work hard here to keep things very black and white because they try to confuse you with details that, well, everything's right here. Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua. TDA is a designed foreign terrorist organization with thousands of members, many of whom have public declaration. As a matter of fact, he states right here, a proclamation, to make it even clearer for everyone, whom have unlawfully infiltrated the United States and are conducting irregular warfare and undertaking hostile actions against the United States. Your public proclamation. TDA operates in conjunction with Nicolas Maduro regime-sponsored narco-terrorism enterprise based in Venezuela and commits brutal crimes, including murders, kidnapping, extortions, human, drug, and weapons trafficking. TDA has engaged in and continues to engage in mass illegal migration to the United States to further its objectives of harming United States citizens, undermining public safety, and supporting the Maduro regime's goal of destabilizing democratic nations in the American cut and dry proclamation, right? But a judge decides to overrule that, of course. A judge decides to assume the mantle of Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, Secretary of Homeland Security, and Commander-in-Chief. So what are they going to do about it? Why do you think Trump's pulling all these security clearances? He's trying to dismantle the apparatus and the flow of information, but he still has to contend with judges. Pete Hegseth coming out with a common sense thought process. This on the Daily Mail. Hegseth makes power move against woke judge after she blocks trans troop ban. Judge orders Pentagon to allow transgender troops, calls Trump ban unabashedly demeaning. I fritzed when I read that, because isn't the goal, the duty of the armed forces to secure American interests, to secure and preserve our defense, cut and dry? But does that maybe hurt some people's feelings? I'm sorry, if we're going to go in a warfighting posture, frankly, I don't care about your feelings, and nor does Pete Hegseth. Since Judge Reyes is now a top military planner, they can report to Fort Benning at 0600 to instruct our Army Rangers on how to execute high-value target raids. After that, Commander Reyes can dispatch to Fort Bragg to train our Green Berets on counterinsurgency warfare, because she is acting as the Secretary of Defense, determining who Pete Hegseth can employ and deploy to defend this great nation. In what reality can that ever occur except the reality we're living in right now via 677 unelected gavels working to uproot everything the Trump administration is doing? And I don't find that okay. What about you? Why do you think he's pulling his security clearance? Does it make sense now? Just because he's mad at these people? Or because he believes they are working against his administration? We have now seen it in evidence. I wanted to keep this very black and white, what these judges are doing. They have secured their positions as high up as the commander-in-chief, because by overruling his authority, the judicial branch has overstepped their bounds into the executive branch and uprooted the very securities of what we, the people, voted in as a mandate for change. And they are taking their two middle fingers and sticking up in the air of everyone who cast a vote for President Trump. And that, my friends, is never going to be deemed acceptable on this channel. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless Justice Knight. Signing out.